viewers, and welcome to more retro gameplay. Today, of course, we've got another classic. We've got Outrun on the Sega Megadrive. Now, this wasn't one I actually saw at the time. I had Outrun, of course, on my Amstrad CPC 464. It wasn't that great, and I think it was out on the Master System as well, but at the time, that was one of the early titles, actually. It just had the little car on the box. I used to really like those early Master System boxes because there was a certain mystery about them. There'd just be one character on the box and nothing else on it, just these white boxes, and I loved that at the time, that design style. You wanted to know what those games were like. There was just no information. But now we see it here running on the Sega Megadrive, 16 bits of power, and surprisingly good, in fact. I mean, when I consider the fact that I obviously put many hours into Super Hang-On, which was a relatively dull experience, the scaling and detail in this, there's much more to it. Outrun. It's a classic, isn't it? It's a classic, It came out in the arcade and it absolutely blew our socks off. Yu Suzuki and his AM2 team using their super scaling technology. Wow, what Sega made with that technology in Space Harrier, Afterburner, Outrun. Incredible detail at the time, and I couldn't believe the visual detail. I couldn't believe the speed. It was one of those games in the arcade that was actually, I thought, sort of daunting in a way, because it just looked like, wow, you need so much skill to be able to play that. It looks so hard, and it always generated a massive audience. And that's another thing as well, is in the arcades years ago, if you were good at a game, people would gather around. Suddenly you'd have an audience, and sometimes it was tricky getting on there if you weren't that good at them. And of course, I've just sped it up here to go through some of the different backgrounds to see how they look on the Mega Drive version. Overall, very impressed throughout with what they've managed to put there, bearing in mind the limitations of the system and the fact that it couldn't actually do proper scaling. If it had some sort of scaling, it would have been amazing what Sega could have done with the system. So many conversions of great titles. So of course you can see here the not a Ferrari that looks like a Ferrari, the red car.
Congratulations!
It's a funny old world that they managed to just get away with that. No licensing at the time when it was originally made. And of course, one of the unusual endings of my car braking, probably because I crashed or halfway through the race. And that's one of the routes. One of the easier routes are to the top, and the harder routes are to the bottom. But I played it and went through various stages, and it's actually really difficult. I put it onto an easier setting here in terms of time, because my goodness, is it hard. If you crash once, it's game over. If you even hit a car, it's game over if you're playing it on the normal setting. It's that difficult. But overall, apart from this, which is sort of like epilepsy waiting to happen when you're looking at this screen here, I actually found it very easy sort of to get into and play, and reasonably straightforward. Some of the cars moving from lane to lane though can be very tricky, and they can just take you out, and that can really be very annoying indeed. But it's a classic game. It's a really good conversion to the Mega Drive, and I'm really impressed with what Sega managed to accomplish. And it's one of those that in a way, it's sort of surprising for that era, because on the systems like the 16-bit systems, we had Super Monaco Grand Prix, Super Monaco Grand Prix 2, stuff like this. There wasn't really much to choose from, and it's a shame really that the racing genre never really got much exposure in those days. But it just wasn't that good. Some of them just didn't convert as well to the home, and there was no steering wheels or anything like that. So brings back the memories. The music itself is a bit dull. It worked in the arcade, but the Mega Drive translations of a lot of these tracks on here and on Hang On were a bit depressing in their own way, it has to be said. But that was just one of those things for the time. And of course, this was released in '91, so well into the Mega Drive sort of technical heritage in terms of improvements. But when you hear the music from, say, Revenge of Shinobi, you know what more is possible with the sound chips on board. It's amazing what some developers did manage to get out of the Mega Drive hardware. As you can see here, the nice mountain sort of scaling. It's not scaling, is it? It's animated, but you know what I mean. Background itself is a bit dull though. Could do with a bit more to it in terms of detail. But that's it from me. I thought I'd have a little ramble on Outrun. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of gameplay just to finish off here, as I was on the sort of slightly harder route. and there'll be more sort of retro gameplay from me coming soon. Do let me know if there's any games you'd like to see on the channel, any particular, or even just your old favourites that you enjoy playing. I might not have them myself, but I'll endeavour to go through some of this collection, dig out some of the racing titles and show those off in the weeks and months to come. And there'll be a retro gaming video every Monday on the channel now, so that's my plan. If you've not been seeing them already, do check them out, and I'm going to do my best to keep up with that. But that's it from me for now, for this bit of extra retro on Outrun on the Mega Drive, and there'll be more from me very soon.